Hi guys, today on Rebels Off-Road we will be giving the review on our C-Fab's Archday arm lift kit and answering a lot of questions such as what is an Archday arm lift kit? Is an Archday arm lift kit a waste of money? What makes an Archday arm lift kit better than a bracket lift? Does an Archday arm lift kit affect handling? And is an Archday arm lift kit like this one right for me? So stay tuned because we have all that and more coming up on Rebels Off-Road. But first, make sure to go like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the action. Let's get right into it. So the first thing we want to talk about is what is an Archday arm lift kit and what makes it better than a bracket lift. So we're going to come over here to our not so whiteboard, and this is what your basic stock setup looks like. You have your lower A-arm, your upper A-arm, your shock, and your upper shock mount. And your A-arms connect to your hub and your wheel. So what a bracket lift is there's this bracket you install here which moves your shock mount out and down, which in turn pushes this down and raises the center of your bike up 2 inches, thus the 2-inch lift. So then coming over here to an Archday arm lift, you still get that 2 inches because of the movement in the shock mount, but on your Archday arm, it's curved. So still same amount of lift, but if you draw a straight line between this mounting point and this mounting point, you will see that with an Archday arm lift kit, you gain all of this clearance in here. So if you have like a big rock or something like that, you'll be able to go over it here, whereas over here, that same big rock would hit. Go! So now we're going to talk about the pros and cons of this lift kit. We're going to start with the cons to get that out of the way. And the biggest con is the price. It comes in at $775, which is very steep for our Archday arm lift kit of this size. But this is the only 2-inch Archday arm lift kit available commercially for the Brute Force. So you're gonna have to deal with that price. The second one, and this is a big one for me, is that it comes with no sticker. Where's my sticker?
Alrighty then.
The third one, if you watched my unboxing video, you know that it came with no install instructions. But you don't have to worry about that because I made a video showing the install.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Like anyone can even know that.
The fourth one, if you watch my installation video, you would know the ball joint plate is a little bit too thin. We couldn't tighten down the capsule nut properly, so we had to add a washer. If the plate was just a tad bit more thick, then we wouldn't have had to do that, but it's easily fixed, so we went ahead and did that. The next one is the upper shock mount crush washer was too narrow. Also, you would see that if you watched my installation video. We had to add a washer to that as well. That little crush washer was just a little too thin. Not a huge deal, but just need to note it. And then the last one is that this kit really does need some additional hardware. If you look at the rear lower hub bolt, we reuse the stock hardware, but it really does need a longer bolt to be properly installed. Likewise with the upper shock mount bolt, it needs a little bit longer bolt to be installed properly. So these last few things are being a little bit nitpicky. I was able to easily fix these with hardware I had on hand, but you would think for $775 that these things would be included. So now moving on to the pros, and the first one is ground clearance. You get a ton more ground clearance from Archday arms, and you get a ton more ground clearance from this kit due to the 2-inch lift built in. So if you want the most ground clearance out of a 2-inch lift, you'll get this Archday arm lift kit. So if all you do is trail ride, or maybe you use your Brute Force around the farm and that's your main purpose, maybe this ground clearance isn't that much of a big pro for you. You could get away with the bracket lift, but if you're using it for rock crawling or in deep mud, this extra ground clearance you get from the Archday arms is really beneficial. The second one is the heavy duty construction. These are built way better than the stock ones, so if you've ever been to stock one, you might just want to consider upgrading to these arms. The third one is that they're different. I don't know about you, but I see a ton of people running around with bracket lifts and not a lot of people running around with Archday arms. So here at Rebels Off-Road, we like to do things a little bit differently. We like to have the best parts on our bike, and so Archday arms is different, and we like that. The fourth thing is that this is a true 2-inch lift. A lot of lift kits advertise a 2-inch lift, but it ends up being 1.5 inches or 2.5 inches, or it just varies in size a lot. This is a true 2-inch lift, so you can have those 30-inch tires and you'll have no problem, and you know what you're gonna get. The fifth thing is that these have a lot of color options. You can get raw or you can get powder coated in a lot of different colors. I personally got blue to match my bike, and let me tell you, they are powder coated perfectly and they match my bike spot on. So I love that about it. The last thing I would like to mention is that these come with a lifetime warranty. This covers manufacturing defects and applies to the original purchaser. So all you have to do is, if something breaks, you send them in and they'll send you a brand new set of arms. Oh, hey. Oh. So another question I've been asked is, do these arms affect the handling of the four-wheeler? And yes, they do to an extent, but this is mainly due to you removing the rear sway bar, which I detail out in the installation video. When you remove the rear sway bar, it does give a little bit more articulation in the rear, which is great for off-camber situations, and in the mud holes, it gives you more traction. But in high-speed cornering, it does dip down a little bit more, which I don't really find a big deal. It's a little bit of a trade-off, but you know, you'll have to be the judge of that. If you want to try it out, take off your rear sway bar and that will be essentially the same thing. So now to answer the question I'm sure you're all asking, are these Archday arms worth the price? So I can't really answer that for you, but for me, I believe that the ground clearance you gain is a huge pro, especially out here in Florida where we do a lot of deep mud riding. The heavy duty construction is great. The fact that it's so much different, those three things combined makes it worth it to me, this $775 price tag. Now, I really wish it came with a sticker, and I really wish that some of these things were addressed. So if C-Fab's watching, please address these for future customers. It's just that added little bit of detail that goes a long way. So if you're interested in checking out these Archday arms yourself, I provide a link to where we bought them down in the description. If you have any other questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to go like and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, go check out part 1 and 2 of this series. See you next time.